Hey everybody, I am Stacy with New Creations by Stacy. I'm the owner and artist. I'm gonna give it just a minute to make sure I'm live. I've been having some technical issues with that, so if you're just coming on, just say hey, where you're watching from. So I just want to let you guys know tonight, I'm hoping that you can hear me. Hey Gail. I actually have strep throat, so I'm not 100% tonight, and I'm just praying my voice can hold, so bear with me. Hey, Nancy. Hey, from Australia, Monica. It's just good morning there for you guys. So, again, I'm Stacy. I'm the owner and artist of New Creations by Stacy. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. I was actually in urgent care, but that's okay. Thankfully, my kids are grown, so I didn't have to worry about fireworks anyway. Hey, Tanya. Hey, Catherine. So, oh, wow, Costa Rica. Hey, Myra. All right, so tonight, both of these pieces we're going to be painting live on this page or the silk page. I was hoping to do this one tonight, but because I've been sick, I haven't got it as far along as I wanted to. So tonight we're actually I'm just gonna show you guys how to prep, clean it, use Dixie mud and all that good stuff before you paint. And then we're gonna use a no pain gel stain on this one. And we're actually gonna do some layering with the Voodoo Gel Stain, so you can kind of see and compare the differences between our water-based stain as well as the gel stain. So I don't think I said it, again, bear with me tonight, but Dixie Belle is normally on with us. Today's their holiday, so they're not gonna be on tonight. So if I miss any questions, oh, hey, Regina from Missouri. I will go back at the end after the live and answer any of those. And I'll try to catch everybody else up here. Oh my gosh, Marie, say a prayer for her. Thank you. She said she just got out of the ICU. Oh, is it COVID or, well, I pray to God you're feeling better and heal quickly. So we'll just go ahead and get started. And forgive me, normally I have everything prepped before I come on, but like I said, this is just one of those weeks. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop you guys down so you have a really good view of what we're doing here. All right, so we are just gonna walk through the process of what to do before you paint. And hopefully you guys can see this pretty well. Actually keep my comments up here on another phone, so hopefully that's not in the way. So I actually haven't done anything to this piece other than I removed the hardware. I do have to replace out this hardware, so we're gonna fill these holes with the Dixie mud. And I'll give you a sneak peek too of what we're gonna do on the live when we paint it as well. So first thing I do is I use white lightening to clean with. It just comes in a container like this. It's a TSP based solution. It's little granules. And you take 2 tablespoons of this and you mix it with a gallon of water, and that gives you the solution to clean all your furniture for painting. The directions say to put it in a bucket and just wash it down, but I find that mine lasts forever if I make these little Windex bottles of it. I actually have a large container that I mix it in, and then I just refill these Windex bottles. So all I do to start with is just spray it down. If you have a really nasty piece, you probably want to just wipe it off first with something. But this white lightning, it is going to, and I do it generously, you can tell, it is actually going to degloss this surface, plus it's going to take off any grease, grime, anything that could potentially, prevent your paint from sticking. Hey, Patty. Yeah, I probably should be, but that's why this isn't prepped. I didn't want to cancel tonight. So here I am. And thankfully I can't contaminate anyone on screen. So I like to use the sanding pads to wash my pieces with. I have something soft I can wipe with. They're inexpensive. I can use them multiple times, and then I've got a gritty, scratchy surface. So all I'm gonna do is quickly just scrub this down, which doesn't take long at all. So that's pretty much it. So in the cracks and crevices, you always have dust that gathers as well. So in that case, I like to just use an old toothbrush, and I'm just going through and kind of scrubbing those areas a little bit. Make sure I get all of that out. If you have a really old piece with a lot of debris in here, when you start painting, you're gonna spread that debris around with your paintbrush, and in those places, your paint is not gonna stick over time. It'll start like just kind of chipping off. I mean, that works great if you're going for a chippy finish. I still think you want to clean it and achieve that another way so it's more controlled. But so that's why you want to just do this. If you get all the way, you're working on a piece, you get all the way done, you paint it, and then you have an issue with the finish, the only fix is to go back and clean it. So you might definitely want to spend the time on this. So what I'm doing right now is I am just going to wipe this excess TSP off with a paper towel. We're going to go on to another step here, and you just want to make sure that you don't use the same rag, paper towel, whatever you're using on this next step. So I've got that done. Now I want to rinse the residue off with water. If you leave this TSP residue on here and you start painting, your paint's not going to stick either. I've actually accidentally grabbed my TSP bottle instead of my Mr. bottle. And yeah, that was in the middle of painting, that was a very bad experience. My paint came off. So this is just, like I said, plain water. Spraying that on. I'm going to use a different piece of paper towel. A lot of times I use a rag for this, but I mean, we're just doing this one drawer, so. And I'm just going to wipe these off. So that's really it for the cleaning part of this. This is the first process you want to do. If you sand it down before you clean it, you're just kind of getting a lot of that grime driven into the wood. So it's best to clean it as your first step. So I always do a scuff sand, which is something that's really easy, unless I'm using something like Slick Stick, and then I still might do it depending on my surface. So this is just a Surf Prep sanding pad. This is equivalent to about a 220 grit, if I'm not mistaken. On the back of the Surf Prep box, it tells you it comes with a pack of various grits. So same thing, I've got the soft spongy side, and then this side. I scuff sand everything. You don't have to for the chalk mineral line, which is actually what we're going to be doing this piece in. It is recommended though for the silk paint line. And this is just giving your paint something to grab a hold of and catch on to. This is a pretty grainy piece to begin with, so yeah, I don't really have to do it, but you know, I sell my furniture and I want it to be quality, so I do this on every piece. So once you do that, you just wipe it off with a tack cloth. You can wipe it off with a tack cloth. You can spray it with water and wipe it off. I'll do this a little bit better later when I prep the whole piece. But you just want to make sure all your dust particles are off from the sanding. Like I said, you usually want to use a tack cloth, cheesecloth, you know, something you can just dab it on and not have to worry. Paper towels give you lint when you use water, so I just didn't happen to bring a tack cloth out here to do this. But that's it. That's the prep on this. So now we are actually going to fill these holes because it has these, oh, you can't see them now, but when I pop back up, you'll be able to. It has the hardware, and these aren't centered because the hardware was a round ring hanging down, so I'm going to have to make mine centered. So we are going to use Dixie Mud for that. There's a lot of products out there that you can use. You know, they have like the Bondo stuff. They have like just plain wood filler. I love this stuff. I've used it all. They even have plastic wood. My opinion only, this is the best, most versatile, and I don't have to worry about as much shrinkage and mess. It's just really easy. The Dixie Mud does come in black, brown, and white. You can use it to give a piece texture. You can mix it with paint. You can fill holes with it. This is also what I fill veneer with. If I use molding and it doesn't stick on well or it's cracked, I use it to fill in that molding and fix those cracks. So it's really easy. Do you want to store it in the fridge? We're going to stir it up. You can see mine's pretty well used. Sometimes I forget to put mine back in the fridge, so it gets less creamy. But you can add a little water. I normally don't. As long as you stir it pretty regularly, you can bring it right back to that creamy kind of consistency. So what I'm actually going to do, I could just use the wood spatula, which Dixie Belle carries. And is this from a nightstone? No, this is actually from a dresser, and I'll pop you guys up in a minute so that you can see it. We're actually going to do the stain on it. So what I like to do when I'm doing something like this, I don't really use the spatula. I'm just going to take a little chunk and I'm going to put it into this Ziploc bag, because I'm going to make like a little piping bag, kind of like you would decorate a cake or whatever. It just makes it really easy to fill the holes and all of that good stuff. So once you do that, I'm just going to kind of get the air out of it, seal up the bag, and we're going to kind of push this down. Oh. Well, I got too much air out of it. Let me open it back up so I can push it down to the tip. There we go. All right. So then, once I've got it far enough down, I'm just going to clip off the tip. So I have a nice little point there. Oh, these are my bad scissors, but I got it. So I do want to fill inside and outside of the hole. Hey, Todd. Hey, Nicole from Australia. So you'll see whenever I get to the front a little bit better. I'm not sure you can see this angle, but all I do is kind of stick this in the hole and just squeeze the mud. I do a little cap. I'm so shaky tonight. I know it's because I'm still sick, but all right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. And I'm leaving a little cap on here. The reason I'm doing that is because as this dries out, the moisture pulls out of it. And so it's going to shrink in a little bit. And so I prefer to only have to do this once. This stuff doesn't take long to dry. If you want to quicken it too, I usually stick it in front of a fan. But once this dries, I'll just go back and sand that off, and then that's it. If I had to repair anything else, like if I wanted to go around cracks, which I do a lot on old furniture, I just use this, I squirt it in, and then I usually just use my finger and wipe it back. This, however, does not go down the drain. Over time, that can cause an issue to your plumbing. So definitely, I usually wash it out in a bucket and then dump it somewhere. But that's it. You can store this. You just push this back a little bit in here, twist it up, and you can put it back in the fridge with the bottle and still use your same Ziploc bag. So I'm going to set that off to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and pop you guys up now. Mix honey, lemon, and a shot of tequila. Oh my gosh. You know, my husband, he went out for a minute. I should call him and tell him to get me something. I gargled with salt water right before the live. And of course I took Motrin. So, you know, hopefully my throat won't hurt as much. So anyway, just trying to make it through this, then I'll stop talking. ahead. This is actually going to be painted Friday on the Silk channel. So to give you just a preview of what we're going to be doing Friday, I might switch this to Tide Pool, but I think I'm going to go with Serenity, and then we're going to do the lace transfer on the drawers and the side panels. So check this out Friday, but today we're going to give it a stain with the Voodoo Gel Stain on top. Yeah, you know what though? I love doing this stuff, so I get up and piddle even when I'm sick. Except for 2 days, my fever was too high. I couldn't, but, so I'm gonna put this right in front here so you guys can get a really good view of what we're gonna do. And these processes are pretty quick. So I think the corner's out a little bit, but that's okay. The main thing is that you can see the overall table here pretty well and see what we're doing. So I'm actually going to use a lot of the Voodoo Gel Stain colors. I want to give this a kind of a Up in Smoke, which is a gray, and kind of layer it in with a little white magic. And then I might, because I haven't decided exactly where I want to go, might use a little bit of black magic, might layer in a little Tobacco Road. We're going to see. But this is and I don't even know how I want to apply it yet. I might switch up. But this is a water-based stain, so it dries quickly. You don't have as much work time with it. Give me just a sec. I've got to get a drink to bring my voice back around. Put some salt on the spoon. Oh, I know. You know what? I need to try that salt on a spoon with lemon juice. That's perfect. Oh, hey, Thelma, me too. Thelma said she loved the Voodoo Gel Stain. I love it. It's such a quick staining process. So I think primarily tonight, I am going to be using the blue sponge. This is great for applying stain. It's great for, well, it's known for applying Gator Hide, which I actually prefer the applicator pad for that, but anyway. So with the stain, you do want to shake it up really well. Let me show you when we get to another part. I'm just putting some in a plate here because I'm probably going to play and mix and do whatever. Usually I'm really well planned out for these lives, but again, this week was just what it was. Once I get to the newer bottle, I'll show you guys kind of how it separates. I'm a little messy tonight. I've already got stain all over me and haven't even started. So here we go. We've got some Up in Smoke. I'm leaving these open because I can add a little bit more. All right, there we go. And then, so I'm going to put a little black magic on here. I'm actually down to the bottom, but you can see how it separates out. This is not bad. This is normal. You just shake it up really well until all the good stuff on the bottom comes up and mixes in with the stuff on the top here. Hey, from Southern Indiana. All right, and then so see, mixes all up. It's still good, so don't think it's bad when your paint or whatever separates out. It just needs to be stirred and shaken. I'm just putting a little bit of black on here. I don't really know what I want to do. Put a little bit of brown too. I know that I want this to have a layered look. I did strip it first. I don't know what is going on with this stain. I did strip it first, but I intentionally left it a little bit discolored because I do want it to have a streaky look. And actually both of these pieces that we're gonna do tonight, I want them to have that streaky look. So first thing I'm gonna do, and I hope that's not a spot of stain that I dropped on there. So important point, I'm gonna spray this so it's nice and wet so I have work time, especially since I'm outside. The crazy part is it's 90 degrees and I'm not really all that hot because I've been running a fever, so I've been cold. cold. This actually feels pretty good. So I think what I'm gonna do first is take some white, because I want it to be the majority of it gray and white. And I'm just gonna start kind of streaking it on where I want. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna do a little bit of blending on here, but it's also gonna be a little bit separate because of the way that I applied it to my sponge. One thing about this stain is a water-based stain, in comparison to our gel stain, the water-based stain is going to sink into your wood. You're going to be able to see a lot more of the grain. Well, it looks a little crazy on camera there, but in real life it's good. It's that one dark streak down the middle. You want to make sure you do long strokes too, because you don't want like little blotches. Those blotches will dry, and you want to keep it nice and smooth. And I'm doing a very thin coat. It's drying pretty quickly, so I'm going to go ahead and wet this down. And it's going to look different for you guys too, because you're going to have a little bit of a glare until it gets dry. But this is really quick dry. I've mixed some up, and then I'm still doing the same thing. So I've got it separate on my sponge, and I'm just streaking it on. Again, I don't want everything colored. I want it very, very streaky. So with the water-based stain, this is an opinion only. I feel like when you're choosing your stain, the water-based stain allows you to see a lot more of the wood grain. The gel stain sits more on top, which is why you don't have to worry about sanding as much, or your original finish there, or sanding at all for that matter. But your wood grain is a little more covered. This is more translucent. So this is what I want, and I think I'm gonna do multiple layers on this. So we're gonna actually push it to the side, and oops, I shouldn't have done that. I touched it with my finger. I had stain on my finger, so now I'm trying to smooth that out. Got a little white speck in there. There we go. I think something just fluid. So we're gonna push that to the side. I'm gonna show you. You can see a lot of the brown coming through here, but I wanna let this layer dry, and we're gonna come back and I'm gonna put some, this is a little bit red looking in real life. I don't know if you can tell. I wanna put some, maybe some black in here, maybe a little more Tobacco Road. I'll probably mix Tobacco Road and Black Magic. It'll give me kind of a walnut look, and I wanna streak some of that in. Probably a little bit more of the gray too. I want this to be kind of, I don't want to say it's not beachy, but I want it to be a little rustic and a little funky. So I'm going to go ahead and push this actually over to this side. Sorry, my light was about to come down there. Hey, from Texas. Could you use the stain over paint, or do you have to sand down to do wood? No, the chalk paint is really porous. So you can put the stain right over paint. It'll give you a beautiful look, especially if you are looking for something. I'm gonna bring you guys in. Especially if you're looking for something like a faux wood grain, for whatever reason you can't stain it. This is perfect. Voodoo Gel Stain is perfect to paint, and then go over that with the Voodoo Gel Stain. You can also use the Voodoo Gel Stain as a glaze, which is something that looks really nice as well. I want to make sure you guys get the whole dresser, so I think I'm gonna just trying to get you a really good view, but I think I'm gonna have to move you back a little bit so you can see. There we go. Hold on. So there's really a lot of uses for the Voodoo Gel Stain, which is really nice. Just go back a little bit more. Well, let's see here. Actually, I think I've shortened it up is what the issue is. There we go. That's a good view. With these dressers, they're just so long because sometimes it's hard to really see. So this is Voodoo Gel Stain, the water-based stain. That's a soap and water cleanup. We're going to be working with oil now. So this cleans up with mineral spirits. Soap and water will just really solidify it to your hands. Oh yeah, Lindy was talking about she hasn't tried the stains yet. They're so easy to use, but especially the oil stains. I have a lot of customers that shy away from them, but you know, it's a really easy process. It's not bad. So this is, and these are so easy. They're perfect for small projects, crafty stuff where you just need it to dry quickly. I'm trying to make sure I get enough time so we can go back and do another layer too. It's about 15 minutes dry time on the Voodoo Gel Stain, depending on your weather. But so this piece, it's actually going to be done just to give you a preview. And again, this will be painted live. This is what I was actually planning on doing tonight. But I'm going to be using some Cobalt Mermaid Tail, the Gulf, and Buttercream with this decor transfer here, the colorful tiles, whichever way that goes. I'm going to have that in the drawer blocks and some different places. But we are going to do a walnut stain on top. And we're going to streak in a little bit of weathered gray. The effect you will see is very different than with the water-based stain. So lots of different ways to apply this as well. I'm going to go ahead and start getting it opened while we're talking. And clear a place to set it over here. So this is mineral spirits. Dixie Belle doesn't sell this, but this is what you clean up the oil-based stain with. You can also clean your piece with that if you think like a oil product has been used. It has a buildup of oil product on it, like a bunch of Pledge or something like that. You can use mineral spirits to clean it first. Oh, thank you, Lindy. Yeah, it was strep, and I got on an antibiotic last week, but it didn't work, and I ended up in the urgent care yesterday. But so I've got walnut and weathered gray here. We're going to actually start off with the weathered gray. I'm just going to, forgot to get a flathead screwdriver, so we're just going to open these with a paint scraper. So weathered gray, and I need to stir this. So that's why you'll see where it's separated, just the same way the water-based stain was separated. This is really what I'm worried about. So oil-based products do have an odor to them. You want to use them in a well-ventilated area. And I think it might be a little bit harsh for me right now, but we're going to get through it. So this is walnut. My walnut, I just used it, so it doesn't need to be stirred quite as much. So a lot of different ways you can apply that. You can use an applicator pad. I apply it this way a lot. You can kind of white bike and apply at the same time. You kind of get a medium thickness with this. I may end up using it. I may not. I've actually already got one here that so normally when it's oil-based, you throw these away. They're inexpensive. Dixie Belle sells them as well. And by the way, I'm an elite retailer. I didn't even tell you guys any of this, but I'm an elite retailer here in Ardmore, Alabama, as well as in Madison. So I do carry all of these products, but I keep mine in the freezer because I use it pretty regularly, so it works. It stays good for me. If you don't use yours for a couple months, though, this process probably isn't going to work. But you just push all the air out of it and store it in the freezer. So I've got this out. I may or may not use it. I also store my brushes in the freezer so that I can always reuse them. I do mix and match the stains, but that's whatever. And this is just a Dixie Belle Premium brush that I have up here to use. And so I've got some stirring sticks. These are actually the transfer sticks. And I use so many transfers that it's, just keep that, I try to keep it all inside to keep the rim clean. You want to make sure that each time you seal this back up, you have a really nice seal. You don't want it to harden. If the air gets in there for too long, it's going to create this hard, like plastic cover, and then you waste a lot of your stain. So I'm actually just going to use my stir stick because it doesn't take a lot of stain for what I want to do, but I'm actually using the stir stick because I'm not going to be using a lot of the weathered gray. All I want to do is kind of streak it on here first. So this is oil based. I don't have to work, I do not have to work really fast. I have a lot of time to work on this. So you can see how it kind of mixes up, and I've got with the stain already in the brush. And I'm just going to kind of pick a few spots and streak this in a little bit. I'm probably going to come back after I stain this one and distress it because I'm wanting a very, actually I'm going to step back here so you can see what I'm doing. I don't necessarily think I'm going to distress this piece, but I want it to have a very distressed look. So I'm kind of spreading this out because it is going to mix and blend together when I put the walnut on. This is a nice technique too that I like to do after I stain sometimes. You can almost dry brush it in. Just want to keep with the grain of the wood so it's not going in a bunch of different directions. Like I said, I don't want a whole ton of this. I just want some areas to show up a little bit differently. So I think that's good. This is going to be a very subtle, very subtle streak in. It's not going to be anything like the last one, but the same principle. So I've got that used. Now, I'm going to use the same brush to start off with, and I might mix in the applicator pad here, but I'm going to go ahead and spoon some of this. Actually, let me just stir it up right quick and then put some. The reason I don't use this out of the can, and it doesn't take a lot, we're going to start with this much, but the reason I don't use this out of the can is because it gets on the edge. Can't get that good seal, you end up wasting your stain because you'll get that little leather thing over the top. Hey, Tammy. All right, so I'm gonna start. So this piece right here has a lot of grain in it, which means it has a lot of places for the stain to sink into the crevices. So I'm just gonna start here and start just making sure I have good coverage. Now what's happening here, and I will probably do this throughout, is I am actually mixing as if I had mixed it on my plate or wherever. I am mixing the gray that was already on my brush and the walnut. So it's giving it, not only will I have walnut areas, I am also gonna have areas that actually have a mixed weathered gray and walnut, and then I'm gonna have other areas where it's more separate, where I applied that weathered gray to begin with. So there's a million different finishes that you can do with these colors. You know, it comes in colonial black and really Georgian cherry and espresso mixed together gives you a really pretty unique color as well. You just cannot mix these with any of the oil-based products. You also do not want to mix it with like Big Mama's butter, which you would think would work because they're both oil-based. But it is really difficult to get your oil-based stain to stick if you have Big Mama's butter in it before, or in it also. Also takes a lot longer to dry if it does stick. That's just a little side note. The recommendation is you don't do that. So let me hurry up and just get this on. Once I get it all applied, we're just gonna wipe it back. So you see me going in multiple directions here, but I'm always gonna come back and go with the grain of the wood. Just make sure I get these sides well. So I did just get some of this stain on the side of the dresser. That will cause me an issue when I paint it, if it's not completely dry. So I will go back and clean that off with mineral spirits. I'm hoping you guys can still hear me way back here. You know, so I do need to get a little bit more stain. Show you. Actually, I'm going to apply some with the applicator pad too because it's a much faster process. So you just put a little bit on the applicator pad and you scrub it through. You see how it's actually wiping itself back. This is not really the look I want though, so I'm going to stop here. Actually, I'm kind of liking that. It's harder to get into the grain with an applicator pad, which is why I'm really applying this with the brush first. I'm gonna grab a little bit more weathered gray on my brush back here to automatically mix in a little bit. So I put that on my, you can see I put that on my plate, so I'm kind of mixing a second color over here. Just like if you were working on canvas, you can mix your stains up. So it's giving me a really pretty gray, almost black look with a little bit of brown still streaked in it. You can even scrub the stain in. Like I said, this is a very grainy wood. And I'm just giving it a nice thick coat because like I said, we're gonna come back and we're gonna wipe this back. I want to mix it up though a little bit. I don't want it too much of one thing in one spot. Like I said, once this dries, this is an oil-based stain, so it'll probably take about 3 to 5 days for it to fully dry. You can do a second coat in about 24 hours with this. Honestly, it really depends on your environment. Just add in a little bit more up here. How fast or slow it dries, how much humidity you have, all that good stuff really is related to the environment. But 3 to 5 days and you're usually always good as far as that's concerned. All right, so now we're gonna further mix these colors up because I'm gonna go back and wipe this back. So remember what I said about this oil-based stain? It typically sits on top. It doesn't sink into the wood itself. So it's a lot more opaque. You can see on here, this had really pronounced grain. Not as pronounced as the other one. Or excuse me, the other one, the grain wasn't as pronounced. A lot of this grain is covered. So I just take an old t-shirt, cotton. You don't want a lot of lint or anything like that. Hey, Tammy. Hey, Flo. I just wanted to look and make sure I wasn't missing any questions. But so we're just going to start wiping it back. You just start on one side and pull it back. Actually pulled a little bit back, more back than I wanted to up here, but that's okay because I can thicken that up. Once I kind of see how it looks, it actually might be just what I want though. And as this dries, the look will change too. It'll be a little bit more cohesive. And when I'm wiping this back, I do try to keep it on the dirty part for the most part when I do the initial wipe back. That will help me not wipe too much off. So we come back to this side. Otherwise, if you want to pull a lot off, every swipe, you just use a different clean portion of your shirt, and that'll be it. The reason I'm going all the way across when I do this, and I'm so careful to go in a straight line, is I do not want smudges. I want this, well, I just don't want smudges. I mean, you can tell when it's a bad stain job versus, you know, a rustic look. But you want to keep it in long strokes. I don't like to start anywhere in the middle or stop in the middle because you can get that same effect. I always try to not wipe back in the crevices too. That just adds more dimension when those crevices are nice and dark like that. Like I said, this piece I am going to end up distressing the top of this. That won't be, like I said, for about 3 to 5 days. So that's really going to bring these layers together as if they were done over time. And then it'll add some more dimension into it as well. I do like to protect with like a satin at least to really give it that nice, deep, rich look that oil has. But that's it. That's all I'm done. And I'm done with the top. I'll do a little sanding on it. Actually, I want to add a little bit more. I think I wiped too much back in the front section. This is oil. You can fix it right away because you've got such a long work time. Kind of dabbing it on this way because I want it, let's see. I want to wipe it back in a certain way to not take it all off, but I still want some of those lighter areas. So, just want to make sure. Hopefully you can see. Yeah. So I'm just going to do I'm going to find a dirty spot on my rag because I want to wipe that down, but I want it to not take all the stain back. So we've got this dirty spot. Just going to kind of, you know, you can do different looks too. You can dab a little bit if you want it to look. Sometimes I do that. It'll give you like a really rustic looking area, kind of like the wood is aged. Or you can just wipe back. But I do like to dab, especially on the edges. It kind of gives it a cool effect when you want that rustic look. I don't really like to dab on the top though. The top, I like it to be nice, smooth, and have the wood grain showing. So that's it, we're done. I have 1 minute, but I can get away with about 5 minutes. Let me see if I can pull our first piece back in really quick, get you guys in the right spot, and we'll do a quick second coat. Maybe. I've got so many wires here to run into the lights that these rollers don't roll very well over them. Piece is now relatively dry. And like I said, with this piece, I'm probably going to do several layers. I'm kind of going for a really, I don't know, beachy, rustic, I don't know what kind of look exactly. Hey, Chris from Tennessee. So I still have, you can see how little stain we used. I didn't even pour that much out. I'm going to go ahead and wet it down on my plate because it's been sitting. I'm going to go ahead and wet this back down again. And we are going to, I lost my spongy. Oh, here it is. So I'm actually going to use the others. Actually, no, I'm going to use the same side. Take a little black, maybe a little brown. I do like to keep them separate when I dab them on here. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Sometimes I like to do that. Just get a surprise. What I do want to do is keep the dark off of that wood that's already dark though. I'm just going to strake this back across. Again, just long strokes. Very thin. I'm going to do the edges on this one a little bit later. I'm going to worry about those for the most part. I do want to go ahead and just make sure I don't have any visible lines, because when you have visible lines when you're staining, another coat of stain doesn't fix that. The only thing that does for you is make that area darker, and you still got that separation. So same thing, we're just going to go for a surprise. Just gonna dip that all around. I love mixing up my water-based gel stain colors. Love it. I rarely, if ever, use just one color. You can, though. And like I said, really versatile. You can, the faux wood look, it's great to use on that. You can use it as a glaze. You know, our black glaze is a really soft black glaze. So I do sometimes like to use this instead. I'll deal with that front later. I can't see it well enough to see what I'm even doing up there. So now I'm going to kind of do that. You could do the dabbing effect with this too. I really love it on the edges. Well, I can't see the front of that well enough. So this is my second layer. You can see how opaque this is compared to this look back here. But you will see these once they're dry, finished, and have a layer of protectant on them. They should actually probably have that done by the time I go on live to paint. So like I said, I'll be on the Silk page Friday with this one if you want to join me. My time is pretty well up, but I literally put that one coat of stain on here in less than 4 minutes. So, you know, it doesn't take long. That's one reason why I really love the Voodoo Gel Stain. But thank you guys. I know it is. Tammy said it's really forgiving, and it 100% is. So anyway, you guys, thank you for hanging out. In the description, I do have a link for my page if you follow me, or if you know anybody who could use this video, please share it as well. I'm trying to come back in the picture here. But so if you know anybody who could use it, please share it, like and follow me on Facebook. I do post completed pictures of pieces on there too, so you can see how they turned out. And oh, you can find your local retail. I forgot everything tonight, so sorry. I have a link up there as well. It's my affiliate link. You can click that link on the top left side, just find your local retailer, so that way you can go in, ask questions, get your product. If you don't have a local retailer, you just want to order online, you can order through my affiliate link. I do get a little kickback for that, but it doesn't cost you anything more. But thank you again so much. You guys take care. Have a great night. I hope, I'm so sorry, I don't remember your name, but I know you said you got, was it Marie? Just got out of the ICU. Prayers, and I hope you're feeling better. But thanks again. Take care, guys. Sorry if I forgot to say anything too. All right. Have a good night.